Welcome, everyone, to the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm a bilingual cognitive behavior and neurolinguistic programming practitioner specializing in anger management issues, both court appointed and private, marriage and relationship coaching, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorders, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life, business, and retirement coaching support. I provide individual one-on-one session in both French or English and also do group settings. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV therapy and coaching services at 301-325-1550, and our website can be found at lifecoach.drdanamzallag.com. Today, I'm very excited to welcome a very special guest for the 10th and last episode of season 32, Ms. Sharon van Sprang, discussing with us the intricacies of imposter syndrome and the challenges we face when addressing ourselves in a very negative way. So without further delay, and as with all of our previous episodes, I'll leave it to our guest to introduce herself, as no one can do a better job. Sharon, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dan. I'm super excited to be here. So, as Dan already shared, my name is Sharon van Sprang. I'm from the Netherlands, but currently situated in Dubai. I am the founder of New Leaders Movement, but I am also a certified multiple brain integration technique coach, which focuses not only on the brain intelligence, but the heart and the gut intelligence, especially when we're stressed. That absolutely affects those intelligences.
Mhm.
I am the author of Beyond the Ceiling, and yeah, happy to be here, Dan.
Well, we're very, very happy for you to be here as well, Sharon. So, as we entered 2026, now a lot of people have, set up a few of the, New Year resolution, whatever it is. So,
Mhm.
something that came very, very in common since 2025 as well, and many years beforehand, a lot of people who are taking, I would say, position of power, or those who have to do I think like maybe coaching or any kind of career that requires people to speak to others, either motivational speakers and all, many of them deal with what we call imposter syndrome, in which is a
Mhm.
term that is being used over and over again, where people self-doubt themselves, they criticize themselves, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, based on your practice and your work, etc., what is exactly going on in the brain for that to happen?
So what's so funny, Dan? We always go out from the negative, right?
Mhm.
We always go out from the negative. Why don't we say, you know what, this is going to work? We're always like, oh, this might not work. Oh, I might forget my words when I'm on the stadium. Why do we do that? Our brain is here to keep us safe and not to keep us happy. So
Mhm.
our brain is programmed to predict danger. And yeah, it's of course because of our ancestors, they had to be very vigilant for the wild out there, right?
Mhm.
A rattle in the bushes could be a dinosaur, a tiger on the lure. So we as humans have evolved, but our brains have evolved 0.0000001%, which is almost nothing. So when you're like standing in front of an audience or having to speak up in a meeting, you will have or experience that same fear. And that is what's actually happening. It's the negativity bias, as we call it.
Mhm.
And it doesn't just make you see danger, it actually makes you expect it.
Mhm.
And that is what's going on in our brain. So you believe that version, especially when you're like highly stressed,
Mhm.
you start believing that version. And of course, that version becomes your truth.
It does for sure.
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
But if we constantly live in a threat-based brain where we constantly see a threat coming our way, even though it's not existing, it's basically constructed by our subconscious mind
Mhm.
because past traumatic experiences. When it comes to careers, when it comes to people coming to see us because we are we have the experience, we have the knowledge, and we have the expertise in that field. Isn't that sufficient enough for us to be able to feel more confident about our knowledge, feel more confident about our about the topic that we're talking about? What can we, or how can we circumvent that?
I wish it was would be that that simple, then. Actually, and this is something I would love to share. A feeling actually it doesn't take longer than 90 seconds. It shouldn't take longer than 90 seconds. But why does it feels that it can take some forever? Because our brain wants to think something of it. And the thing is, like, for example, the brain knows everything at last. You
Mhm.
know, the last, how can I say it? As last.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm Dutch. Sorry, people.
Okay. No worries.
But there's more information coming from the heart
Mhm.
to the brain than the other way around. And because your brain is behind, it will make up things. Even if you're good at your job, um, eh, we all have talk. We all know the inner critic, right? I call my inner critic Judgy Nancy,
Mhm.
and Judgy Nancy is there to keep me safe. Judgy Nancy just doesn't want me to be on stage. I love to be on stage then, but Judgy Nancy sometimes will give me all the negative scenarios that can happen. And she will go on and on and on and on. And if I start listening to her, I believe it. So even though I am excellent at my job, I know what I'm here to bring. There's always this inner critic that now she's not, yeah, she's judging me, but she wants to keep me safe. And that is why in these cases, because when you go on stage, you have like some sort of like a little bit of anxiety, like you're there, or if you have to have an important meeting or a more difficult meeting, eventually, immediately, your brain would light up, and judgy Nancy or your inner critic
Mhm.
will take over. And that's why, and this is also what I teach my clients, go back to your intuition. And when you go back to your intuition, calm down the heart.
Mhm.
Um, it's so much easier just to stand your ground and to make the inner critic not win.
Mm.
So the imposter syndrome has no stage. Yes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's approximately 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts coming into our mind every single day.
Yes.
Very, very hard to be able to
Yeah.
process them all. Now, when it comes to moment of stress or high stress level where the cortisol kind of like increases exponentially, it's hard to,
Mhm.
to separate yourself from your mind to be able to ignore that judging voice that will tell you you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not trained enough, or you have not prepared yourself enough for this speech or for this
Mhm.
motivation call, whatever it is. So how can we dissociate ourselves, Sharon, from a
Yeah.
mind that is there to be able to protect us, but at the same time, a mind that wants us to grow, and that in itself is very contradictory. So it's like a push and pull kind of a situation where you want to be able to better yourself, you want to be able to take continuing education courses to be able to become an expert in your field, but yet that little inner voice that is there to be able to ignore all of your effort that you've taken to be able to reach that goal, then at the same time it tells you, no, you're still not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is actually what I would teach my clients and what I would like to share here as well.
Mhm.
I think it starts with just taking a moment. Under stress, we're always rushing. We're
Mhm.
always just going for it. We're not taking a breather because we have the feeling that you just need to do it. Just go through it, and that's it. But it's so important in these cases
Mhm.
that you just take a breather. Just breathe. Because sometimes we just really forget the thing that is in hand for us,
Mhm.
but we don't use properly. Breathe. Calm your heart.
True.
As if you have this box breath, right? Like 5 times in, 5 times out.
Mhm.
It will calm your heart, and then your brain will feel safe. So that's one thing that you can do.
Okay.
Secondly, what I will teach, and that's absolutely hard, difficult, because what you're saying then, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts, and they activate like our patterns as well, and it's unconscious.
Mhm.
So become more conscious. So as soon as you hear something negative in your mind, write the sentence down. So exactly how you hear it, and then reframe it.
Okay. So
So for example, yeah,
you're doing journaling. You're journaling your negative thoughts.
yes. You journal your negative thoughts, but immediately you reframe it. So make something positive out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for example, I should have done better. No, let's just have an easier one. Um, for example, for this talk, like I should have prepared better. It wasn't good enough. Could be, hey, you know what? It was a beautiful experience. Um, I was so excited. But next time I want to focus on this and this. So immediately reframe it into something positive. That absolutely helps. And what I also ask my clients to do is then only read the positive things before you go to bed. Because that helps.
Yes.
That helps already to, sorry?
No, no, you're right about that, about the like do it before bed, because this is where the subconscious mind will be able to absorb all the positive information before you go and start the next day. So it's always important, and I also that you brought me this to my attention as well, Sharon, is that what I do is I always also help my clients record their voice, their positive affirmation, and let it run all night long. So the brain, because when you're asleep, your conscious mind goes to rest and your subconscious mind kicks in, and this is what the powerful mind is the subconscious. So when it starts listening to only positive affirmation, it allows the brain to retrain and reframe the mindset to something positive.
Absolutely. That's the amazing part of our brain. It is plastic.
Yeah,
We
no,
can change who we are.
yes.
And that's super powerful. We just need to have the tools to help us to get there. And like these exercises are not a one-off thing. And it's important to do it every day. So you become more conscious of your inner critic, for example.
Mhm. Absolutely. But
Um, yeah.
But then the thing is that you mentioned about the post, like when you write after the event. But if someone wants to be able to do a speech or to talk about in a presentation, they have to do it before the presentation. So what kind of positive feedback can you write down to be able to reframe the negative to the positive and give you the courage
Yes.
that you're good enough to be able to conduct this speech?
Absolutely. I love this question. For me, it is very important because I also work with the heart and the gut, right? The heart and the gut energy.
Yes.
And what I like to do is to help my clients to imagine. You know, they have a belief of who they want it to be. Who is this person? How does this person stand on stage? And I want them to feel it with love, just to close their eyes, to breathe in and breathe out, and just imagine
Mhm.
that you can do this before your talk, of course. You can just imagine yourself being on that stage and having this good feeling, and making sure that you know this speech is going to be amazing. You're going to touch some people's hearts.
Mm,
So you can do a lot with feeling, with creating a positive feeling to change those, those yeah, old patterns, filters, etc. So I think that is a very important one that I would love to share.
mhm,
Um, and for the second one would be um, t- t- just to really write down, and this should be a daily thing. Like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Because you can become that person. Is there somebody that you know, so maybe somebody famous or somebody around you that has the same qualities that you also want to have? And how would it feel to be this person? Just see it, just embrace it, just embody it.
mhm,
And to do this daily will help you to shut down your inner critic. The third thing that I would like to share is give your inner critic a name. That's what I do. So
mhm,
as soon as I feel uncomfortable, or I'm not, I'm just not, I don't feel good about myself. That's why I give my inner critic a name, Judgy Nancy. I will call her out. Judgy Nancy, thank you so much for keeping me safe, but this is something that I want to do. So I want you to take a back seat now and let me do what I came here to do. So these are, yeah, the tools that I can give.
That's amazing. But I mean, we cannot also kid ourselves, Sharon, that the mind is a very, very powerful muscle.
Oh, yeah,
Will
yeah.
contradict, and especially when it comes to being in front of people or in front of a crowd, which I think public speaking is, I think it goes number one biggest fear. I think
Mm,
I'm not sure exactly how does it categorize, but it is the top three in terms of the fear that people face when it comes to having to speak in public because they're afraid of rejection, they're afraid of people making fun of them or whatever. So despite the amount of time that we spend sharing into preparing for whatever speech or whatever content or topic we want to cover, regardless of the amount of weeks or months that we prepare, do we still, I mean, because more knowledge we have, more power we have, and that's not sufficient enough to be able to kind of get rid of that fear?
mm, no.
The right answer.
You
Okay.
fear sometimes is also good. A little bit of fear is okay. You need to feel it. I think a little bit of fear is okay. But the only thing is that we need to understand how how to control it better.
Okay.
And it's difficult. It's difficult because our brain is it's magnificent. It's a like I it's a beautiful tool,
Mhm.
but it can give us a very difficult time. Dan, I used to be very scared of public speaking.
Okay.
I I know, like, one time and that was just a speech at the university. I couldn't breathe anymore, and I just blanked out. I just blanked out.
Wow. Okay.
But because of the work that I'm doing, and I had to be able to speak, to be able to stand in front of a crowd. So what I did, and that might be a little, it's not maybe something that I would suggest, is I was like, you know what? If I can convince students, then I can do everything. So I started to teach and do it every day, just repeat, repeat, repeat. And you have a lot of options, like if we talk about speaking, how you can like get over your fear. But I just put myself in the situation again and again and again and again. And this is how you how can what's the word again? You can ugh, your not your limited beliefs, but you get less scared if you do something again and again and again and again and again.
True.
It doesn't affect you that much.
Yeah, if you repeat the content.
Um, yes. So the one thing you have to do for yourself is this is what I want and this is important for me. And the first time that you make that change, it's gonna be so difficult. It's gonna be so hard. The second time as well. The third time, oh, it's gonna be a little bit easier. So just go for it. It's sometimes you have to be on repeat. But
Yes.
that's why it's so important. These tools are so important. Then when you want to make that change, that you have the tools to support you because your brain is going to want to have safety. It's going to be it's hooked. It's just hooked on, the adrenaline, like this. It just wants you to be safe. It doesn't want to make you to be happy. So your brain is going to want you to take that safe path.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
sometimes you want to go there because you know what? It is a good feeling.
Yes.
But you also have to push yourself, and that's why these tools are very essential.
Absolutely. At the same time, as well, when it comes to public speaking, what I found to be working very well is if you go with the mindset of sharing a story, like a personal story, because a lot of people are
Mm,
afraid to be able to forget specific content that they want to share during their public speaking gig, whatever it is. So I think that if you transform it and you allow to let people know that you are as a human as they are, and you have that fear. So you bring yourself
mm,
in their level, which in return, they don't feel that you're a threat and you don't feel that they're a threat. And that in return allows you to be able to have more peace when explaining whatever topic you want to share. So I think storytelling has drastically changed the way that I do my public speaking. And at the same time, it allows me to be able to connect with the audience. Because if you could
mm,
connect with them, it makes it so much easier because then you could focus on a few people that you could kind of like look at. Because if you look at the whole crowd and it's an amphitheater of like 2,000 people, yeah, that can be
yeah.
stressful. But if you focus only on a handful, then at the same time, it changes completely the dynamic of the way that you express yourself in front of the crowd. And that I've seen to be extremely, I would say, less stressful. And I think that in return, you allow this to be able to make something like more of a habit and more confidence you build and more the fear factor disappears or dissipates. And then in return,
Mm.
you're able to perform much better.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I do agree.
So then, I mean,
I
look,
do.
like I said, it's just like mastery. Anything you do and you repeat, as you mentioned, neuroplasticity is when there's the
Yeah.
ability of the brain to be able to adapt and to be able to learn and to be able to change according to the need of your environment and to be able to learn the new processes that are required. So, and our brain have that capacity. It can absorb, it can understand, it can really, I mean, of course, you got to be expert in your field, but it can more you learn and more you become confident. And because again,
Mhm.
like I said, any like when you do continuing education with like a mental health sector or psychotherapy or psychology or psychiatry, whatever it is, we constantly have to take new courses to be able to understand the DSM-5 and to be able to understand more about the mental illnesses, what really are the treatment that are available. So all this is required for us to be able to present it to our clients, etc., and let them know, okay, based on what you said, this is what I think that you have. So in return, it gives us the tools to be able to perform in our careers, in our profession. So same thing as a public speaker. I think the self-criticism that we allow ourselves to believe, we tend to do it because we don't have any connection with the people that we present ourselves to. I think this is one of the biggest fear.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's your point of view on that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it because you know what? I don't really agree with that.
Okay.
Um, because like the fear comes from old patterns, right?
Mhm,
Things that you've learned. For example, my fear, and that's what I've also learned. The reason why I was really scared
mhm,
to stand on a podium was because, my dad was very strict. He was very strict, and he wanted me to do. I was standing in front of an audience. If I make a mistake, if I,
mhm,
if I f up, um, and it wasn't really about not connecting with others. I think that's maybe a second fear because you want to do a good job,
mhm.
but it was just a struggle within me. So I don't really completely agree with that.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, I think every public speakers or every motivational speaker, they have tools and strategies to be able to better, I would say, make the experience much easier for them. Because again, speaking in front of 10 people is less stressful than speaking in front of 10,000 people. That's a given. And
Mhm.
that in itself, because I think with 10 people, you could connect with them more than you could connect with all the 10,000. So again, this connection depends on who you decide to be able to interact with when it comes to presenting your topic. And you go from there. But for me, this is what I've seen to be able to be most effective. And everyone has their own way to be able to make that.
Mm.
But on that note, if you could just before we get into the conclusion of this podcast, can you just tell us how can people reach out to you, Sharon, especially that you live now a bit further away, and know exactly the different strategy that you can offer, because I would like to get more into the yeah. So go.
Absolutely. So so how people can reach out to me, I have NewLeadersMovement.com. NewLeadersMovement.com. Well, you can reach it from everywhere, of course.
Mhm.
I have a webinar, the 90-second reset, and I will launch it on the 19th of February,
Okay.
which is really focused on getting out of your stress pattern, because actually it only takes 90 seconds. So that's what I'm teaching in the webinar. But it also has the reset code. I have a masterclass. It's online, it's offline. I'm internationally active.
Okay.
So definitely find me on a New Leaders Movement or find me on LinkedIn. My name is Sharon van Sprang.
Mhm.
So that's how you can find me.
And in the book that you wrote, I mean, is it a book that gives strategies to the readers on how to be more comfortable in public speaking, or are you talking more about the neuroplasticity format of what we discussed earlier?
It's not about public speaking. It is really focused on breaking your patterns.
Okay.
Talking about rewriting your filters, your belief system. So that is what it's about.
Mhm.
And this book, Beyond the Ceiling, Breaking the Glass Ceiling Without Breaking Yourself, is also available on Amazon. This book is not only to read, but it will also give you exercises, because I don't want people to read. I want people to transform. And that's how I wrote this book.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Sharon, that is all the time that we have for today's podcast. And again, thank you sincerely for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. And we all appreciate your participation to this episode by teaching us the importance of feeling good enough about ourselves, our accomplishment, and letting the negativity and self-criticism escape from our minds once and for all. Now, to our millions of listeners out there, we hope that you've all enjoyed today's episode as much as we did. And also, we're very excited for what's ahead in season 33 of the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, featuring a lineup of incredible guests with powerful stories that will continue to uplift and inspire all of you. So here are some concluding words of wisdom. We often engage in self-criticism not because we're broken, but because our minds learned doubt as a form of protection. What once kept us safe now limits our growth by reinforcing outdated beliefs about who we are. Awareness is the first step to change, since patterns can't shift if they go unnoticed. Growth begins when we question the inner critical voice and recognize it may not truly be ours. Self acceptance is not complacency, it creates the foundation for real transformation. Our thoughts shape our focus and energy, so repeated self judgment undermines what we want to attract. By choosing curiosity and compassion over criticism, we interrupt old loops and open the doors to lasting change. My name is Dr. ddanamzallag, and you may all keep pursuing your amazing journey in life. Stay tuned for our next episode.